Hi guys, welcome to Race Centre. I'm Dazza, here we got Jules.
Hi guys.
And here we have Aaron's beautiful Ducati Sport Classic 1000. And we have it in for a fair bit of work, so we thought we'd do a little bit of a video on it. I guess the first part of the scope is that this bike has previously been tuned elsewhere. It has a tuning module on it. It runs pretty rough. So the first part of the job was to do an assessment on the tune. Because the bike's been sitting around a bit and the belts on this bike were unknown in terms of their age, we put fresh belts in it. How often do they need to be changed, Jules, in these bikes?
Recommended by time, even if you don't use your bike, every 4 years.
4 or 5?
4 years.
On these ones?
Yeah.
Okay. So the belts are unknown. So while we wanted to do a tune assessment, we put it on the dyno, but we didn't want to dyno and put it under full load without knowing how old the belts were. So it was the first thing that we did. And then we put it on the dyno to do the tune assessment, and sure, it was running pretty rough. It's so rich. It's probably richer than the Sultan of Brunei, this thing at the moment. So it's going to get a full retune. But we've decided that we're going to tune it through the ECU. We're going to remove the fueling module that it has on. Main reason for that is that overall with any bike, unless there's a real benefit, the idea is to keep things as simple as possible and as little things on your bike as possible. We certainly do it with all our race bikes. The less components we have on them, the less things that can go wrong. I guess, so last year, I'd say, we get a lot of bikes in, obviously, both race and track bikes. But over the course of 2023, I reckon we had about 5 cases where we found faulty fuel management modules, like the aftermarket modules that you put on, the piggyback units. It's not super common, but it's also not uncommon. So the fact that we can tune this through the ECU and it needs a retune anyway, we're going to remove the piggyback unit, tune it through the ECU. And the tune side, what we're going to do, because with our AFR probes on the dyno, we can get a really good read on the exhaust gases. But to tune it really awesomely, and we're going to do like the best tune we can on this thing, get it running really beautifully, we're going to actually weld in wideband O2 bungs into each header, so they're getting a real nice crisp reading with the AFR sensors, and that'll allow us to tune it really, really well. So the exhaust will come off. It's already got some exhaust rack. The exhaust will come off. We'll weld in some wideband O2 bungs in it, and then the exhaust will get re-wrapped. Jules is a bit of a master wrapper. And during that, he's also got a massive amount of other scope of work. So if you want to run us through that, let us know what you'll be doing to this bike.
So obviously, following in what Daz just mentioned, other than the performance of the bike, Aaron cares about how the bike looks, and he wants to give it a bit of a refreshment without like changing too much the aspect of the bike. So we have some accessories from the MotoGadget family over here.
That's through what we've got here, Jules.
So we've got in here some indicators, some lights, but the major thing that we're gonna change on this bike is the dashboard. So this digital dashboard will replace the current one in the motorbike.
So it's quite small, right? So it's gonna be really small. So it's interesting what you say. Aaron wants to keep it sort of looking like it should, but putting a few more modern things like a digital dash.
Modernize it without going too aggressive into it.
Yeah, okay, so the dash, that's the biggest part of it, is it?
That's the biggest part of it. And because of the complexity of this bike, like these bikes, they run like a per se ECU inside them. So to install this dashboard, we're gonna need to run a special module for it. So this guy in here controls all the signals that the ECU of the bike communicates to the dashboard, so that it won't create any errors, sort of thing.
Okay, so is this like, so what you're basically saying is this dashboard's got some programming in it that gets information from the ECU that can then tell you, like
it tells the user like sensor readings, ECU fault codes, and yeah, pretty much like engine management information that the user needs to know and needs to be communicated to the dashboard, So that module controls all those signals.
And with this MotoGadget dash thing, so is that specific for this model or generic?
It's a generic unit that you could fit into multiple motorbikes, but each motorbike is a different story.
Even different brands?
Correct.
So what Jules is saying there, like, because this is such a generic thing, we have to install this, or this brain as well for this dash, so that it can communicate with Ducati's ECU.
Correct.
And then be able to give us all the functions that we need on the dash, like that the bike's ECU can provide. Okay, so that's pretty cool. So what's involved in doing that? Is that just plug it in, or how's that work?
So just because, as Das just mentioned before, it is a generic unit, so you need to make it work onto your specific motorbike. We gotta trace down like each of those signals that we need for the dashboard, and then tap into the original wiring loom of the motorbike and connect that module in between so that it could read what is the language of the original ECU and then send that information to our new dashboard.
So you've got to tap into all the sensors on the bike that are existing there.
It's creating like an extra wiring loom just for that part of it.
Okay, so it is like a bit of a tedious job to tap into it and then create that. I guess it's a sub-wiring loom for the dash to communicate.
Correct.
Okay, cool. So you'll be onto that. Is there anything else we're doing with that?
There is also this guy from the MotoGadget family. So this is a Switchblock, but this guy eliminates the two switch blocks of the motorbike. So we will be able to control horn, indicators, start button, dashboard menu through this guy and replacing the two current ones. So it'll like reduce the bulky looking of OEM switch blocks, and it'll modernize as well the bike subtly.
Subtly modernize.
Correct.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So would it be fair to say that in this project you're the looks department and I'm the performance department?
Yes, we could agree on that one.
All right, let's get into it, and hopefully it turns out good.